thing I want to cover. So it's kind of obvious if you're signing a contract that
Mm-hmm.
your professional should read the contract before you sign.
Yes.
And we spoke a bit earlier in this episode about if you're in a different territory or a different state, then what's considered a signature might be different in that state. An
Yeah.
email might be sufficient,
Yeah.
or an actual signature and a payment might be sufficient. But there's one other thing that I wanted to cover,
Yes.
and this is very different in different states in Australia and different territories in Australia,
Yeah.
and that's called a nomination clause. So what do I mean
Ah.
by that? This is very interesting. If I decide that my partner and I want to buy a property and I'm at the auction because the auction is 2 hours away, or my partner's
Mm.
working 60 hours a week and they trust me to go and bid at auction, etc. And I
Yes.
sign the paperwork with my name. If in some states I want to add my partner's name to that contract, I have to pay twice. Yep. In
Really?
Queensland, you can change the nomination if the contract allows. In New South Wales, if you change from your name to yours and your partner's name, all of a
Yes.
sudden you're selling 50% of what you bought. In other words, let's say you're going to go half and half with your partner. The the state now says, okay, so you bought this in your name, but now you're moving it or selling half of it to your partner. So we're going to charge you the tax on buying it for the first time in your name, and we're going to charge your partner the tax on buying 50% of it the second time.
Oh my
So you bought
goodness.
something for 1 million and you've paid for $1 million and you've paid for an additional 500,000 of tax.
Wow, Amir, I didn't know about that nomination clause. That's a
Don't
ooh.
don't sign. Don't sign first. Ask your
Yes.
solicitor. Ask your
Yes.
conveyancer before you commit, before you do anything. Just ask. And this is not when the emotions are really high in the middle of
Mm.
the auction. This is
Yeah.
well beforehand.
Yeah.
Make sure you understand because it's not the same as everything else. Every
Mm.
state is different.
Yes.
Speak to the expert. Make sure that you go in there with a clear head. And if you have it written down as instructions for you, then when you've won and your hands are shaky from excitement
Yes.
and you tend to
Yes.
forget half the stuff, you've got it
Yes.
in writing. Just slip over that piece of paper to the auctioneer, to the person who's drafting everything, and
Yes.
they'll have everything agreed. Both always have it in writing with you, both from your side and from the other side, because these things are done
Mm.
well ahead, well in advance, not when the emotions are high.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Wow, I mean